But what group do they dislike most? What group are they absolutely terrified of and hoping to eliminate? Well, it's Christians. That's who it is. It's Christians.
Tucker Carlson, the influential conservative commentator, has sounded an alarm that has captured the attention of Christians across America and beyond. During a recent event hosted by the Heritage Foundation in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Carlson painted a chilling picture of the nation's future, warning that a deep and unsettling darkness is taking hold. He believes that the United States is teetering on the edge of one of its most perilous eras, where powerful forces are working to erode the country's fundamental values. Carlson's message is not just a warning, it's a wake-up call to Christians to brace themselves for a spiritual battle that could shape the fate of the nation. His words have sparked a sense of urgency, urging believers to stand vigilant and prepared as the country faces what may be its greatest challenge yet. Let's delve into the event that we all knew. The incident at the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, involving Thomas Matthew Crooks, is a significant event that underscores the intense and polarized political climate in the United States. Carlson's words, far from being arbitrary, reflect a growing concern about the increasing levels of violence and the deep divisions within the country. The context of Carlson's remarks is crucial, as they are set against a backdrop of escalating political tensions and a society on edge. On July 13th, Butler, a small town with a predominantly pro-Trump population, found itself thrust into the national spotlight for reasons far beyond a routine political rally. As former President Donald Trump addressed the crowd, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation, typical of such events. However, the situation took a terrifying turn when Thomas Matthew Crooks, a seemingly ordinary young man with no prior history of violence, attempted to assassinate Trump. The details of the incident are chilling. Crooks, armed with an AR-style rifle, carefully positioned himself and took aim at Trump. The former president's unexpected movement, a turn to look at the Jumbotron, likely saved his life, as the bullet meant for his head only grazed his ear. The swift response from the Secret Service, who neutralized Crooks within minutes, prevented further bloodshed, but not before one person was killed and several others were injured. What stands out in this event is the profile of the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks. He was known in his community as a regular at the local gun range and a skilled marksman, but there was no indication that he harbored violent tendencies or radical beliefs. This has led to widespread speculation and concern about what might have driven him to commit such an act. Was he influenced by external factors, or was this an isolated incident rooted in personal issues? The lack of a clear motive leaves many questions unanswered and contributes to the broader anxiety about the potential for sudden, unpredictable violence in politically charged environments. The attempted assassination of a former president is not just a crime against an individual, it is an attack on the very fabric of democratic society. The fact that this occurred in a small town like Butler, rather than a major urban center, suggests that no place is immune to the currents of violence and instability that seem to be sweeping the nation. Carlson's emphasis on this event reflects a broader fear that the political discourse in the United States is reaching a dangerous boiling point. The incident also highlights the role of the media in shaping public perception. While the rally itself was newsworthy, the attempted assassination overshadowed everything else, drawing intense media scrutiny. The narrative that emerged, focusing on Trump's miraculous survival, adds a layer of almost mythic significance to the event, particularly among his supporters. This portrayal taps into a broader theme of Trump as a resilient, almost divinely protected figure, which has been a recurring element in his political persona. The idea that Trump's survival was due to divine intervention is a powerful one, especially in a nation where religious beliefs often intersect with politics. For many of Trump's supporters, the notion that he was spared by a higher power reinforces their belief in his role as a leader, chosen for a special purpose. This interpretation, while not universally accepted, plays into the larger narrative of Trump's political career as being marked by extraordinary and at times inexplicable events. The incident in Butler cannot be viewed in isolation. It is part of a broader pattern of rising political violence and extremism in the United States. From the storming of the Capitol on January 6, 2021, to various other instances of politically motivated attacks, the country's political landscape is increasingly characterized by volatility and the potential for violence. Carlson's comments reflect a deep-seated concern that these incidents are not just isolated events, but symptoms of a larger crisis in American society. Carlson's words on Saturday were not just a reflection of recent events, but a profound commentary on the spiritual and moral state of the nation. We live in an era marked by increasing darkness, where forces that seek to undermine the values that once held this country together are growing bolder. These forces are no longer content with merely influencing culture or politics from the shadows. They are now openly targeting those who advocate for a return to the nation's foundational principles. One such target has been Donald Trump, who has consistently positioned himself as a defender of Christian values and an advocate for the nation's spiritual revival. Trump's commitment to the Christian community in the United States has been a central theme of his political career. He has frequently called for America to become a nation that prays again, emphasizing the importance of faith in public life. His administration was marked by efforts to protect religious freedoms, support pro-life policies, and appoint judges who would uphold conservative values. For many of his supporters, Trump is not just a political leader, but a spiritual one, someone who has been chosen to guide America back to its Christian roots. The recent assassination attempt on Trump's life during a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, has only reinforced this perception. As Tucker Carlson pointed out during the event, this attack was not just a political act, but a manifestation of a deeper spiritual battle. Carlson stated, "I think what happened on Saturday, the assassination attempt against President Trump, reminded a lot of people, or awakened a lot of people, to this: there is a spiritual battle underway." His words resonate with a growing belief among many Christians that the challenges facing the nation are not merely political, but are rooted in a struggle between good and evil. This belief is not new, but the events of that Saturday have brought it into sharper focus. For many, the attempt on Trump's life is seen as evidence that the forces of darkness are becoming more desperate and aggressive. These forces recognize the threat that Trump represents to their agenda and are willing to go to extreme lengths to silence him. However, the fact that Trump survived the attempt has been interpreted by many as a sign that God is not yet done with him. It is seen as a testament to the power of divine protection and a reminder that, despite the growing darkness, there is still hope. Carlson's remarks have struck a chord with many Christians who feel increasingly alienated in their own country. They see the nation's moral decline as a clear indication that America is no longer a hospitable place for people of faith. The attack on Trump is viewed as a wake-up call, a moment of clarity that reveals the true nature of the battle that is being waged. It is a battle not just for the soul of the nation, but for the very future of Christian values in America. The notion that Trump is remembered as a memory right now because God is not yet done with him speaks to the belief that his role in this spiritual battle is far from over. Many of his supporters see him as a modern-day David, a flawed but divinely chosen leader who has been called to confront the Goliaths of our time. This perspective is deeply rooted in the Christian tradition of seeing history as a series of divine interventions, where God raises up leaders to guide his people through times of trial. In this context, the attack on Trump is not just an isolated event, but part of a larger narrative of spiritual warfare. It is a reminder that the struggle for America's soul is far from over, and that those who stand for truth and righteousness must remain vigilant. Carlson's words have resonated because they articulate a fear that many Christians have long felt but have been unable to fully express, that the forces arrayed against them are not just political opponents, but spiritual adversaries. The shooting that occurred last Saturday vividly underscores a profound and unsettling reality. As Tucker Carlson has articulated, there is an ongoing spiritual conflict between the forces of evil and the forces of light, and this truth is becoming increasingly evident. Following the attack on President Trump, Carlson observed, "There is no logical way to understand what we're seeing now in temporal terms. You just can't. There are no political divides. There are forces, and they're very obvious now. They've decided, for whatever reason, to take off the mask, whose only goal is chaos, violence, and destruction." Carlson's observation, though polarizing, highlights a growing recognition that current events transcend conventional political disagreements and reflect a deeper spiritual struggle. The forces of evil, which have already caused significant discord and confusion through manipulation and deception, are now directly confronting those who oppose their agenda. This situation calls for a decisive stand, affirming that, despite the chaos and threats, the United States remains under divine sovereignty. Carlson's perspective is echoed by several speakers at the Republican National Convention who affirmed that Trump's miraculous survival was a sign of divine intervention. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders remarked, "Not even an assassin's bullet could stop President Trump." Sanders, 2024. This sentiment reflects a broader belief among many Republicans that Trump's continued presence is a matter of divine timing. Prominent Republican figures, including Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Representative Byron Donalds, have also voiced their belief in divine protection. Abbott noted, "Had it been less than a half inch to the right, he would not have survived. Trump is truly blessed," Abbott said. This view suggests that Trump's survival is seen as evidence of God's control over those he has chosen for a specific purpose. Reverend Franklin Graham, son of the famed missionary Billy Graham, has also expressed deep gratitude to God for sparing Trump. Graham views Trump's survival as a divine sign that he is not yet finished with his mission. He stated, "We are thankful to God that Trump was spared from becoming another martyr, and we pray that he will be able to continue advocating for Christian values and empowering the faithful." It is hardly surprising that a physical attack from adversarial forces would occur at this critical juncture, with elections imminent. The spiritual adversary, the devil, and its earthly embodiment, often referred to as the deep state, are intensifying their efforts to silence the one individual who has consistently championed the Christian community. Instead of viewing this period as one of mere suffering, it should be recognized as a time of trials and tribulations. The faithful are called to remain unshaken in their belief. Ultimately, it is God who holds ultimate control. While the devil may attempt to harm what God cherishes, he cannot dismantle what God has established. Destruction, like a serpent, is silent and insidious. Therefore, the people of God must be vigilant against all forms of evil, resist temptation, and persist in fervent prayer, not only for the preservation of their faith, but for the well-being of the nation. This sentiment is not confined to Trump's immediate circle. The close call with death that Trump experienced has been widely interpreted as divine intervention. Trump himself shared his belief in this divine protection when he spoke with Senator Bill Hagerty, asserting that divine intervention was the reason he survived the attack. He took to his social media platform to reassure his supporters, stating, "It is God alone who stopped the unthinkable from happening." Indeed, it seems that Trump has been granted another day to continue pursuing what he believes to be his divinely ordained mission. Tragically, the attack in Pennsylvania resulted in a fatality. Corey Comore, a 50-year-old firefighter, lost his life as a result of the shooting. Comore, known for his heroic deeds and kind-hearted nature, leaves behind a grieving family and a community in mourning. The loss of such a valued member of the community underscores the tragic consequences of this act of violence. The devil's intent to cause destruction seems evident not only in targeting Trump, but in dragging down others in the process. President Trump has reached out directly to Comore's widow, offering his heartfelt condolences and support. Additionally, 2 other individuals were critically injured in the attack and are currently recovering. As Reverend Franklin Graham has noted, this shooting should serve as a profound reminder for Trump. It highlights that his power is not of his own making, but is granted by God. Instead of focusing on personal victory, Trump is encouraged to express gratitude to God for his protection. This moment should inspire him to acknowledge and celebrate God's role in safeguarding him amidst the adversity. It is increasingly evident that we are living in a time when dark forces are stirring, poised to strike against the Christian community in the United States. These forces are determined to thwart any attempt by figures like Donald Trump to assume office again. The current Biden administration, seen by many as a pawn of malevolent influences, represents a significant threat to the nation's well-being. If such an administration is permitted to persist, America could face profound crises, spiritually, economically, and even in terms of its territorial integrity. In these challenging times, it is crucial for believers to unite in prayer, asking for divine protection over Trump and ensuring he is safeguarded until he reaches office and beyond. To preserve America's status as a God-fearing and Christian nation, the faithful must remain vigilant in their prayers. Despite the potential for further attempts on Trump's life, or even the broader suppression of Christianity, believers must maintain their faith in God's ultimate plan. They must cling to the promise of final victory assured by their faith. Ultimately, the spiritual battle that is unfolding requires unwavering resolve from those who hold fast to their faith. The forces of darkness may seem formidable, but they will ultimately face divine judgment. No matter the obstacles, God's will prevails, and his final victory is assured. Believers must continue to uphold their faith and remember that ultimately, God's justice and power will prevail over all adversity.